Welcome to Mock Interview Pro, where we help you ace your upcoming interview for the position of Regulatory Affairs Director. We'll guide you through key behavioral and situational questions that can help you stand out. Let's get started with our first question, which is all about leadership in challenging times. Can you share an experience where you successfully guided a team through a tough regulatory submission process? This question aims to uncover your leadership skills and ability to navigate complex regulatory challenges with your team. Here are a few tips to keep in mind when answering this question. Think of a specific instance where you faced a regulatory submission challenge. Clearly describe your role and how you interacted with your team. Focus on the strategies you employ to overcome obstacles. Highlight the outcome and what you learned from the experience. Now, let's look at an example answer to see how you might structure your response.
In a previous position, we encountered a significant challenge with a tight deadline for a new drug submission. I organized daily check-ins and delegated tasks based on each team member's strengths. When issues with data discrepancies arose, I encouraged open communication to address them swiftly. Thanks to our teamwork, we submitted on time and received positive feedback from the regulators.
By the way, we're only covering a handful of questions in this video, but I've prepared a free PDF with all 30 top interview questions for Regulatory Affairs Director. It also includes example answers and tips to help you prepare with confidence. The download link is just below. Tell me about a complex regulatory problem you faced and how you solved it. Here, the interviewer wants to see your problem-solving skills and how you manage difficult regulatory issues. Let's consider some tips to help you craft your answer. Pick a specific regulatory issue you encountered. Explain why it was complex, including the stakeholders involved. Detail the steps you took to analyze and resolve the problem. Discuss the outcome and any positive impact it had. Share what you learned from the experience. Let's hear an example of how to effectively answer this question.
In my previous role, we had a complex issue when a key product's registration was challenged due to labeling inconsistencies. I coordinated with cross-functional teams to clarify requirements and revise the submission, leading to approval within 2 months. This experience highlighted the importance of clear communication and thorough documentation.
Can you provide an example of how you've communicated regulatory requirements to non-technical stakeholders? This question assesses your communication skills, especially your ability to convey technical information to non-technical audiences. Here are some tips to ensure your answer hits the mark. Identify the stakeholders and their level of understanding. Use simple language and avoid technical jargon. Explain the context of why these regulations matter. Consider using visual aids or analogies to clarify complex points. Share any feedback or outcomes from your communication. Let's check out a sample answer for this scenario.
In a previous job, I presented regulatory changes to the marketing team. I used a simple chart to outline how these changes would affect our product launch timeline, explaining each regulation in layman's terms to ensure everyone grasped its importance.
How would you handle a situation where a key submission is rejected by a regulatory body? This question is designed to evaluate your crisis management skills and your ability to respond effectively under pressure. Consider these tips when formulating your response. Stay calm and quickly assess the reasons for the rejection. Communicate with your team to gather insights and information. Develop a clear plan to address the regulatory feedback. Engage with the regulatory body if necessary to clarify points. Implement the necessary changes and prepare for resubmission. Here's an example of how you might handle such a situation.
I would first review the rejection notice to understand the specific reasons. Then, I would gather my team to discuss our findings and brainstorm potential solutions. After that, I'd create a detailed action plan addressing the feedback, liaise with the regulatory body for clarification where needed, and ensure we resubmit promptly with necessary improvements.
When a new regulation is announced that impacts your current projects, how do you decide on the next steps? This question tests your decision-making skills and adaptability to new regulatory environments. Here are a few tips to consider in your response. Evaluate the changes and their implications on your projects. Consult with your team and stakeholders to gather insights. Prioritize projects based on the regulation's impact and deadlines. Develop an action plan outlining required adjustments and resources. Communicate changes clearly and provide training if necessary. Let's go through an example to give you a clearer picture.
First, I would analyze the new regulation to understand its specifics and how they affect our ongoing projects. Then I would convene a meeting with my team to discuss the implications and gather their perspectives. Next, I would prioritize the projects that require immediate attention based on the regulation's deadlines and compliance requirements, and create a structured action plan to address any changes needed. Finally, I would ensure that all relevant stakeholders are informed and that we provide any necessary training to ensure compliance.
Before we wrap up, remember you can get all 30 questions, example answers, and step-by-step tips in a handy PDF. Totally free. Just grab it below.